Thank you very much. Let me, first of all, recognize in our midst Honourable Dr. Darrow, the Member of Parliament, and Honourable Justin Charles, Honourable Reginald Austria, and my other cabinet colleagues present, Monsignor Eustace Thomas, who prayed for us this evening, the Secretary of the Cabinet, Permanent Secretaries, and all of you, the wonderful people of the village of Petite Savanne. I would have preferred to have met you in Petite Savanne, not speaking about the ravages of Tropical Storm Erica, but speaking to the number of wonderful projects which we had in store for you and for your benefit. But we have no control over these occurrences. We can pray and we can intercede and pray to the Lord that those things do not befall us. We have no control over the weather pattern. But we're here nonetheless to speak about where we are in respect to the aftermath of Tropical Storm Erica. First, I want to thank the committee that was appointed by yourselves to interact with the government and to liaise with the government on matters relating to your concerns and the resettlement of the community of Petite Savanne. And I want to thank profoundly the chairman, Mr. Gist, who, along with his members, have done, in my mind, a fantastic job in representing the interests of yourselves. They too recognize that leadership is not an easy task, and certainly there are challenges which come with leadership. But if everything, when you are charged with leadership, you have to take decisions. You cannot defer decisions, especially decisions which relate to the welfare and well-being of citizens. I do not have the luxury of small talking or criticizing, because the final decision stops with me as the leader of the country. When I came to Petite Savanne the morning after the storm, and I had interaction with many of you, and I know Petite Savanne very intimately. I've walked every cranny in Petite Savanne, every community in Petite Savanne over a number of times. Sometimes looking for a place to put a playing field, or something looking for coming to visit roads that need to be done, or looking for a location for the community center, which was a much needed project in that community. So when I visited Petite Savanne the day after the storm, I recognized, and of course later on flying over Petite Savanne on a helicopter, I recognized that we had a great devastation in these parts. And there's some of you who left before the call to be evacuated was made, because you recognize the danger of it. And there are some of you who have said, and continue to say up to today, that you shall never return here to reside in Petite Savanne because of the danger which it poses. Now, I give you the assurances as the Prime Minister of the country and the Minister of Finance that in respect to your resettlement, money will never be the consideration. Whatever it will cost to resettle you and resettle you comfortably, this government, with the grace of God, will find the resources and make them available. And the actions that we have taken, in respect to your concerns, in respect to the rental allowance, in respect to the displacement allowance, in respect to the income allowance, in respect to supporting those affected with regards to their household appliances. Because we believe in the government, and for me personally, I believe that we have a Christian and biblical duty to help those in difficulties. Now, no one of us here is a perfect being. None of us have all of the answers to the world's problems. And I think at this stage in our lives, and recognizing what we have gone through as a country, there must be greater unity in purpose. There'll always be disagreements on certain things, what should be done, how it should be done, when it should be done, who should do it, how we should do it. But we must not lose sight over the bigger picture. Whether it is myself who is the Prime Minister or anybody else who is the Prime Minister, we have to address an issue of an entire community and communities which need to be resettled. Engaging ourselves in unnecessary discussions and being negative is not going to help us, my dear brothers and sisters. If there are some things we can do to make life better for you now, let us know it. Raise it. But the idea of this continued debate as to whether we should bring you back to Petite Savanne or not, come on. We don't have to take an expert to tell us, a report to tell us, that the place is unsafe. We don't have it. When we look at the areas that have been affected, how many walls can you build? How high can you build a wall to prevent water from washing us if we don't come together? Let's be understanding. And I want to, for example, you have people with mortgages in this community. People who just build their homes have huge mortgages to pay and cannot enjoy the beauty of your home. What do you do in a situation like this? Do you leave them on their own and say, well, it's an act of God, it's not the government who brought it upon themselves? What do you do? What do you do? This government could have easily done like other governments and say, well, as Mr. Oscar indicated, it's an act of God. When you drive in and a stone fall in the windscreen, if it's not insured, the insurance will tell you, Pastor, we can't pay you. And if regards to the resettlement, as we've done with Dubik, and as we'll do with other villages that have been impacted, and we're building homes for them. If, for example, you have a home where you have a mother and father, plus you have the daughter and she has kids, the whole idea of what we've done is to give this daughter and her children a home for herself and have her independence and so forth. And in the consideration to yourselves, that is the same thing that will be done. And we will share with you, not today because we could not have done it today, the plans and the drawings and the aesthetic beauty of these homes that will be constructed on this Belbishop site. And I heard some people say, well, the Belbishop site is not the site, we don't want the site. But let's be honest with ourselves. There are many among you who told us, and as a matter of fact, there was a survey done. There was a survey done where we sent it out and people said, well, you had sites to choose from, and many of you ticked the site. There are people who said, look, it's closer to Stowe, where a boat is. There are some who say, well, from time to time, I can go and visit Petite Savanne, so I want to be closer to Petite Savanne. Now, I have heard some say that, look, we can fix up Petite Savanne by building tunnels and all these things, and people can drive on the tunnels. But, so, my friends, you see, you have to always laugh and be joyous, because you can't internalize problems, or else you get pressure, and pressure will bring us to the problems. I see nurse is right there, and nurse is smiling, telling me that's right, But let us understand. I'm here to hear from you. Today I met with about 20 families from your community, speaking about a particular challenge which they have. I have no difficulty in meeting with groups of people who have the same kind of challenges and to see what else we can do for you. What we have done so far, what else we can do. That's what we should be here talking about. How are you doing now, and what can the government do together with you to make life better for where you are? But understand also, we're speaking to an insurance agent this morning in Caucus. And that insurance company, I had raised an issue with them in respect to some of you who have insurance coverage in the community. And they indicated to me, they asked that I write a letter to them, asking them to consider your particular situation, which I did. And on the strength of the letter, they came down to Dominica to visit the community. You know what part of the report said? Well, we went there and people in the house. People in the house. So how can we pay an insurance cover for anybody in this community when there are people there? So even by our actions, not understanding the implications of our actions, we might be even creating greater problems for ourselves. So I understand the emotional connection to a community that you've lived for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. But understand the dangers in which you're placing yourself and your family. Reflect upon this. The dangers you place in yourself and your family by wanting to stay there. We are prepared, as always, to provide every single family who has been displaced with a rented accommodation. And when we realize the government system with its bureaucracy and slow process, we send the money to DSS, and since then, nobody has had any difficulty in getting the rent paid on time and in time. And if there are any persons who have the difficulty, let us know. We've employed people to specifically deal with matters relating to Petite Savanne and ensuring that the issues are addressed. School for children, we ensure that you got your children transported back to and from school. You know. So let us work together, my friends. Let us work together. It serves no benefit to you or benefit to me if we are not on the same page, the same wavelength in moving our country forward and addressing the issues. And Mr. Austri mentioned about other countries that are richer than us. If you go to New Jersey or you go to Louisiana, storms that have happened 10 years ago, people are still waiting on the federal government to help them. But we do not have the largest of resources. But with what we have, I believe we have done a fantastic job in responding to the disaster of Erika. I would like to hear from you. You know, where you have established so temporarily, what can we do with regards to your small business? How many of you are sewing? I know Petite Savanne have one of the best seamstresses you can find anywhere. You know, how is business? And do you need additional support? These are the things that we should be putting forward to the government representatives and to see how we can assist. Are your children having difficulties? How can we help them? If the fishermen who apply in the trade, what are the challenges? What else can we do to help you increase and to improve on your fishing trade? These are the things that we should be engaging ourselves in. You know, and of course, discussing the resettlement issue. But for us to be talking about, well, not Belwish or somewhere else, we're not helping the process. Each one of us will have a particular preference. But it is going to be impossible for the government to address each person's or each family's preference. There are people who told us they want to go to Portsmouth. There are some people who said they want to go to Portsmouth. You know, there are some people who said they want to go to Lapland. There are different people who want to go to Warner. Different people who want to go to Jimmet. So there are all sorts of requests. But how do you consider all of the individual requests in respect to this particular issue? And we felt based on the feedback from yourselves, the majority of support and indication, and the location, and the availability of land in one locality, we felt that that would have been the best site available to us. Because as you know, my dear friends, we don't have much land, flat land in Dominica that we can consider in one location. So I do not want to be long here today. I really want to hear from you, because our PAL rep, our ministers, have spoken to you in detail of what we have done and what we continue to do for the community. But my message to you, as the Bible says, is that we must think positively. It is when you think positively, you'll do positive things. If you think negatively, you'll do negative things. And when we do negative things, who does it affect? It affects all of us. So let us, in a respectful manner, in a spirit of unity, understand that we have to work together. And Dr. Darrow put it rightly. When the storm visited us, and affected Petite Savanne in particular, there were no callers. People were not talking to each other, were speaking to each other, working together, looking for those who were missing. So let us keep that unity, understand that we can only achieve if we are together, working together for a common cause and a common goal. And the task of resettling this entire community is not a simple one. It is not a simple one. And criticism is easy to let off. But when you have the responsibility of actually being the one who is charged with dealing with issues, you understand the issue. And we all have families, we all have children. If you ask your children, what should mommy buy for me? They will give you a long list of things. But the question is, can you afford it? You understand? Can you respond to every single child's needs or wants? You can't. And the country can only spend what the country has at its disposal. But this government, with the help of God, we're given a commitment that we shall not allow the unavailability of all of the funds to look after you and to look after your well-being. That is my firm commitment to you on behalf of the government of Dominica. And as I said, let's work together, my friends. Let us provide leadership to our children, guidance to our children, and let us always be positive. There's nothing wrong in criticizing. There's nothing wrong if you think the government is doing something in respect to resettlement that you have a different opinion on, to express it. There's nothing wrong. What is wrong is when we allow partisan political consideration to come to the fore and to be the basis upon which we make a criticism. When I see you, my dear friends, I do not see blue, red, or green. I see people who we all are in the same boat, who we have to address a particular issue of resettling. So let us view it from that perspective, that the task is great, but it could be easier if we all work together. And that's our mission, that's our motto, my friends. And so I wish you all God's blessings, and rest assured that the government of Dominica, this government, has your back and will continue to work with you to resettle you in the shortest possible time. And also spoke about the community. In that community, you will have health centers, you will have commercial spaces, you'll have playing facilities, you'll have a community center. We even live in what you call green space, where we'll leave the trees, so we don't affect the trees, natural breeze, let enough of oxygen, taking up in the carbon dioxide. Ensuring that those of you who do not own a home have the opportunity to own one at no cost to you, no cost to your family, no cost to your children. And those of you who would have been living in a house which required tremendous repairs will be getting a new house. And we're not going to discount it and say, well, okay, well, your house was valued at 10,000, we give you a house at 150,000, pay us the 130. We're giving you the house and the keys to your house and so on. You know? But we've tried in the interim to allow you to be as comfortable as possible by giving you the ability to rent a home and be in a family setting and have your own space, be able to cook your own food and be among your family. And that option is still open. The problem we've had, as you know, is not having sufficient houses available to rent. That's why you have people from Petite Savanne all the way in Scott's Head, all the way in St. Joseph renting, because that's where they could find homes. There were just not sufficient homes available for rent. But the option for every single family to rent a home and the government would pay was open and is currently open to every family. So those of you who, for example, who are still living in the guest house, if tomorrow you find a home to rent, the government would pay that rent for you until we give you a key for your new home. Understand? That is still open to all of you. So that's where we are, my friends. And as I said, we give you the firm commitment to look after your situation. And we in the government, finally, we empathize with you. And that's why I do not place much emphasis on some comments we will make, because I understand the emotional stress some of you go to. You know, I understand the emotional stress. And once somebody is emotional, once somebody is stressed, you can say things that you don't necessarily mean at a particular time. That's human nature. You understand? That's human nature. And it's good to express yourself. But let us do so in this setting in a respectful manner. So God bless you, my friend.